All right, if I was learning guitar in 2025, especially guitar for worship music, which is what I teach, this is where I would start. I would start with 3 foundational steps. The first step would be the chords. The second step would be strumming. And the third step would be practice play-along videos. Now at the end of this, I'm gonna give an additional maybe bonus step, a 4th step. It's not crucial to you learning right now, but it would definitely be the next progression and the next thing I would teach you. And over the years, I've taught hundreds of students, both in person and online, and I've helped over literally 6.5 million people here on YouTube. And that's definitely not a brag, but it gives me a little credibility when I tell you, hey, if you do these 3 things, you'll definitely learn guitar within the first month. So step number 1, chords. And not just any random collection of chords like an E chord, and a G chord, and an A minor chord or a C chord, but a group of chords that work together in a chord family. So you may have heard the phrase, or you may have heard, hey, this song is being played in the key of D, or the key of F, or the key of G. So what we want to do is learn a group of chords that go into a specific key. And for us, getting started, we're going to look at chords in the key of G, because that's the easiest key and the most common key that tons of songs are played in. You can literally play hundreds and thousands of songs with just 3 chords or 4 chords in the key of G. Pop songs, country songs, worship songs. So here's the breakdown of the 4 chords you need that we're going to be working with within the key of G. And you're going to see here, we're starting on this G chord. We're only going to be moving 2 fingers. We're going to be keeping this ring finger and this pinky finger locked in on the 2 bottom strings of that 3rd fret. So fret 1, fret 2, fret 3. We're going to keep this ring finger and this pinky finger locked in the entire time. So we're not going to be doing all this movement to get to different chords. We're going to make it very simple and keep these 2 fingers locked in there the entire time. So our G chord, boom, right there. The next chord, all we're going to do is move these 2 fingers down 1 string to the C chord, boom, just like that. So we're just moving those 2 fingers. So G, C. For the D chord, take this middle finger off, move this pointer finger down 1 string, and that's your D chord. So that's 3 chords right there, G, C, D. And then the last chord is your E minor chord, which might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's not bad, so it's right there. And remember, we're keeping these 2 fingers there the entire time. So we're only moving those 2 fingers, the pointer finger and the middle finger. And I've done a much more in-depth lesson on these chords, the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, the E minor chord, on my channel before. So I'm gonna link that video up top. That way, if you need some additional help, which if you're a beginner, you definitely are gonna need some additional help talking through which finger goes where, on which string, and on which fret. So that's a really, really in-depth, helpful lesson that's going to go over these 4 chords and then also a few additional chords. Okay, so step number 2 is strumming. Now, strumming is overwhelmingly the most challenging thing for beginners and intermediate guitar players. But fortunately, over the years of teaching hundreds and thousands of students, and me personally struggling with strumming the first few years while I was playing guitar and learning guitar, I've identified 2 of the biggest tips that will help you streamline your strumming and see improvements much sooner rather than later. Now, you have to remember, there's no shortcut for hard work and putting in the time and the reps and the practice. You got to do that. But the first strumming tip is you need to be using a thin pick. So this is a 0.46 millimeter pick. I've talked about this before in previous lessons. They're flexible and they have give and they have forgiveness, which is what beginner players need the most when they're strumming and when they're learning. Thick picks are way too rigid, and I go into this much more in detail in this strumming lesson that I've done. But get a thin pick. The one that I use, the one that you'll see me using probably in 95% of my 650 videos that I've done on this channel is this white one right here. It's a Dunlop .46 millimeter pick, and these are linked in the description of the video, so if you want to try them out, just click on that link and give them a rip. Okay, the second tip when you're strumming, I see this all the time. When you do an up strum, so you might hear somebody say, hey, do a down, down, up, down, down, up, down strum pattern. And for this up, I see people do it all the time. They make this huge motion with their entire right arm because they're trying to strum every single string on the up strum, and you don't need to do that and you don't want to do that. That little up strum is just a little flick right here. You're catching the bottom 2 strings, the bottom 3 strings, maybe that 4th string, but it's just down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, instead of down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. You want to kind of keep that strumming really nice and compact, and again, that thin pick is really going to help out. So when you're practicing your strumming and your rhythm, when you see up strums, just do that little flick on the bottom few strings, not this huge massive motion that's going to take you out of your rhythm. So get a thin pick and go watch this interactive practice strumming video of me going through a chord progression and a strum pattern for like 10 minutes where you can literally just practice and play along with me. All right, so step 3, the last step here, if we're not including that 4th bonus step, which, I'll get to here in a minute, but step 3 is literally just to put all of this together, put those previous 2 steps together and start playing along with me and several of my interactive play along videos where I have the chords and the lyrics up on the screen and I give you the strum pattern for the song and literally everything that you need. And you can just play along with me while I'm strumming. And it's the best and easiest way to learn once you have the chords down and the basic strumming pattern. And you can pause and rewind those videos and play them as many times as you need to really kind of groove in those chord changes and groove in that strumming. All right, so the last step, the little bonus step, is learning how using this capo changes the key of the guitar. So as I mentioned earlier, you might have heard somebody say, hey, this song's gonna be in the key of D, this song's gonna be in the key of C. Using a capo with those chords that we just went over, the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, and the E minor chord, using a capo, placing it on the 1st fret, placing it on the 2nd fret, sliding it up the fretboard here, fret 3, fret 4, fret 5. Using the capo, you'll learn how that changes the key of the song, and you're still playing those same chords. And again, I've done a really in-depth lesson on this a few years ago. I'll post it and link it here. For you to use as a resource. I go through what each key is each time you move the capo up each fret using those same chords in the key of G. So it allows you to play many, many songs in many different keys. So if you follow these 3-4 steps, it's gonna get you playing guitar and it's gonna keep you playing guitar because you're gonna actually see the progress, you're gonna hear the progress and believe that, hey, I think I might actually be able to do this thing. And eventually you're gonna learn more chords, you're gonna learn chords in different keys, you're gonna learn different chord voicings and variations, you're gonna learn different strum patterns, you're gonna learn different finger picking, adding dynamics, and much, much more. But these 3 to 4 steps here in this video are gonna get you started. So hey, if you found this video helpful, I'd love if you subscribe to the channel and join the fam.